Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Jerry Hamilton. Bobby Burton will probably be joining us here in just a little bit.
Technical difficulties this morning, and he's not in Michigan, but he's got technical difficulties this morning. He'll be here in a second.
That's right. So it gives me a chance to
there you go.
Dial him in for a second. Everybody loves when we do that, so I had to do that at least one time. I'm sorry, Bobby, but no, tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We're going to get to those. We got Vic Schaefer going to be joining us fresh off Selection Sunday. The Longhorns got the #1 seed. He'll be joining us at 9 o'clock. It's also a Marcus Myers Monday, Jerry. So Marcus will join us and hopefully Bobby here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and talk basketball, man.
I got to wear a lot of different hats on this show. So now we go to the basketball old Final Four hat from 23. All right.
There you go.
I wear a lot of hats in this show right now. So obviously NCAA tournament begins for Texas men on Tuesday in the first four, round of 68, whatever you want to call it. Field of 68, first four, whatever you want to call it. But we'll start with the women. They got the #1 seed as expected. They're in Fort Worth, assuming they win their 2 games in Austin this week. They're in Fort Worth for the Sweet 16 Elite Eight. It could not line up any better. Oh, and by the way, if you get to the Final Four, UConn's on the other side. If you get to the Final Four and the chalk wins, if Texas wins and UCLA wins as #1 seeds to get to the Final Four, obviously it's UCLA, who Texas has beaten once this year. The only loss for UCLA, by the way. And UConn's on the other side. If the chalk wins, they would face South Carolina. So Texas, we'll talk to Vic about – he won't want to look ahead. We're doing the look ahead part right now. Vic will he'll leave the show if we talk that far ahead. But that's the look ahead for the Texas women. And their first round game, their opponent is not decided. It's a playing game. So that is to be determined. But obviously it's a 16 seed team. On the men's side, it's a rematch with NC State in the first 4 game in Dayton on Tuesday. The team's leaving this morning, probably shortly for Dayton. They beat NC State 102-97 in the Maui Invitational in November. That game to me has zero meaning on this game, though. That game was the 3rd game in 3 days at the Maui Invitational, right? So you play 3 games in 3 days. Both teams have tired legs. It was early in the season. Throw it out. Throw that game out the window for me. And I think these games are toss-up games at this level in the NCAA tournament. It's a toss-up game. I think NC State's a 1.5-point favorite. I think when it opened, Texas was a 1.5-point favorite. I mean, it's a toss-up game. NC State's one of the top 3-point shooting teams in America. They're at 38-8 for the season. That is their strength as they shoot the basketball extremely well. Not a good rebounding team, -1 rebounding team. Texas is one of the top rebounding teams in the country. So it's definitely a contrast of styles and strengths in this game. I think the big key for Texas in this game is NC State not letting them get hot from the 3 early in the game. I think if NC State comes out really shooting the 3 ball well, then that's really puts a lot of pressure on Texas defensively. So they have to really guard the 3-point line early in this game. It can't be one of those feel-good games where NC State gets going. The winner of Texas-NC State will play BYU in Portland. So this is a crazy travel time for the men. Monday morning, flying to Dayton, game Tuesday night, 8:15. By the way, it'll be pure entertainment because Charles Barkley and Dickie V are calling the game together, that's always funny. But if Texas wins, then they got to get on a bird and go straight to Portland and play Thursday. So that's where Texas is at. I think it's a toss-up game. The women have a #1 seed. They never have to leave the state of Texas to get to the Final Four. Obviously, the women's Final Four is in Phoenix this year. But you're in a really good spot if you don't have to leave your state to get to a Final Four. We'll see what happens. Looking forward to talk to Vic at 9.
Yeah, I think it worked out perfect for him too, Jerry, because, I mean, the way the bracket fell and everything, you got South Carolina and my mind just went blank, UConn over on the opposite side, so not too shabby.
Somebody said, follow up, somebody said BYU is beatable. BYU is beatable. I agree with that. When Richie Saunders who's probably an NBA draft pick. I don't know with the ACL now. He was going to be an NBA draft pick. He'll be in a 2-way contract at least while he rehabs that ACL. When they had Richie Saunders, they're a much different team. I mean, you don't lose an NBA player generally and stay the same, right? And BYU ended up 9-9 in Big 12 play. They're definitely beatable. Somebody asked what's going on with Traore. We've been hinting at that he is not expected to play again this year. And Sean Miller just kind of said that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I believe Bobby Burton's here.
How's
Good
it going,
morning, Bobby.
guys? Y'all doing all right this morning? More problems. Now you see the inside of my house. This is my upstairs bedroom or upstairs room here. I got the full on. Y'all doing all right?
We're here. We are here and ready to go. If you don't mind, Bobby, and I hate to put you on the spot immediately, I need you to tell everyone about our sponsor this morning, Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, I can do it. We would like to thank our sponsor, John Donovan, President, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's a proud Texas Exes Life member who truly bleeds burnt orange. His wife and 6 siblings are all UT grads as well. So it's his family passion for UT that led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management, and dedicate it to providing investment, retirement insurance, and estate planning services to Longhorn families and friends across the nation. John's been doing it for more than 30 years now. John enjoyed the first week of spring football, and especially that there was no helmet and T-shirt major injuries reported. While all of the signs, team's talent, chemistry were positive, it was hard not to also focus on basketball with March Madness now here, especially with the women getting a number 1 seed and the men making the number 11 play-in game. So to celebrate all that great Longhorn news from this week, John's offering a free OTF private consultation via Zoom, phone, or in person to allow John to help you explore how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule your own free private consultation today, just call Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900. That's 972-707-4900, or schedule online, www.longhornwealth.net.
Well, we got a lot to talk about this morning, and if you're just joining us, Vic Schaefer will join us at 9 o'clock. But first, guys, I think it's time for Marcus Myers. So, good morning, Marcus.
Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing? Can you hear me okay now? Am I good?
We got you.
Everybody's figuring it out today. This has been going. How y'all doing, man? What's up?
We're doing great,
Marcus,
man. We're doing
I had a question for you right off the bat. What'd you think of the men getting into the tournament? Lost 4 of their last 5, but were 9-9 in conference, had some quality wins. Is there too many teams in the tournament or just the right amount to let Texas in? What are you thinking?
But I think that was for Marcus, but I'll lead Marcus down
Bobby,
the path.
I don't know if it's you or me. It's cutting out again, so I missed your
question. Man. Well, I'll lead Marcus down the path of none of the bubble teams at the end were playing well. I think the tournament's at the number. They're actually talking about expanding it. In no way should the NCAA tournament expand at all. I also don't think it should necessarily shrink, but you could go to teams that are the last 10 seed. Last 10 seed, they didn't finish the tournament well either. It's just one of those years in the bubble where teams did not play well. NC State, they were surprised they were in a play-in game. They won 2 of their last 11 games. They really hit a bad turn. UCF was 1-4 in their last 5. Missouri 2-3. There's another team in there on the bubble that got in that was 1-4 in their last 5. I think a lot of it is teams weren't playing well at the end of the year, but also some of those teams had the toughest part of their schedule at the end of the year. If you have a run of 3 or 4 road games of your last 6 or 7, then you're up against it schedule-wise if you're in a Big Ten or if you're in an SEC or ACC conference. Can you hear us now,
Jared,
Marcus?
I'm good now, man. I know we talked a lot about it, in the weeks leading up to, Selection Sunday, but I was kind of in the same camp as you. If they were able to get in the tournament, then that was a successful season. And obviously we know, a little bit of anything can happen in March, but this team has kind of had some wild ups and downs on the men's side of things. And so, at the very least, it's certainly a winnable game. And even if you, win in Dayton, you have an opportunity to, play well against BYU. Because, they have some situations there that, aren't as favorable as they used to be for them. But I think I heard you mentioning, Jerry, about the travel, man. It's just that's really interesting to jump, on a plane, pretty much Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, and then you'd be heading straight to Portland. But this is what you sign up for, and that's why you're in it. And then obviously on the other side of things, the women did what they needed to do. They secured that first seed, so their first couple of games will be here in Austin this weekend, and then they'll just move right up the road to Fort Worth. So the first 4 games that they'll have potentially are all in the state. So I think that's great, to see on both sides that they're in it, and now you just got to string together some games and get hot.
All right, so we're going to bring up a super chat here, Blake, and if Bobby comes back in, we'll all get into this. But this is a really good one because this is building on social media. Because I said the DFW in basketball had another Tiger Slam, meaning they beat Houston in all of it in basketball. But here's it, because obviously we're on Texas football, and football rules the state for the most part. But I just want to throw this stat out there real quick, because people talk about football a lot, and I get it. But it's basketball more so even than football in Texas right now in terms of the difference between Houston and DFW. In the last 3 NBA drafts, there have been 15 players selected in one of the 2 rounds from the state of Texas, which that's a big number per capita, by the way, for only having 2 rounds. Jamal Shedd was from Manor, so we throw him out. Of the 14 guys remaining, they were all from Houston or Dallas. Marcus, you got any chat? Marcus, give me a guess on how many of those guys were from DFW of the 14. You'll be shocked.
I'll go with 11.
13 of 14.
Oh, my God.
13 of the 14 draft picks that were from Dallas, DFW, or the Houston area in the last 3 NBA drafts. 13 of the 14 were from DFW. It is a wide, huge, massively huge margin in difference in basketball in this state right now. And obviously football is DFW is ruling the day. Save North Shore. I know Coach Cross, those guys at North Shore, they did a great job. But DFW is extremely dominant now, more than ever before. And we talk about along I-20 south from Lancaster, boom, all the way out to North Crowley in Fort Worth, south of Fort Worth. That is probably the second most talented area in the country for football and basketball to the greater Atlanta area.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? It's a dominant time for DFW.
It's wild up there, man. I've sent you before, Jerry. I think I sent you video of a young man that we'll probably be hearing about pretty soon. He's in 8th grade, but his mom played at UT Arlington. She played basketball. His dad played at OU and played in the NFL. And you just see these kids are bigger and stronger and faster. A lot of them are specializing earlier, which, I have mixed, feelings on, but I think it's just, the wealth of talent that's in that area, people kind of choosing to move there, and some of their talent being much more concentrated. I think some of the Houston schools at times end up, almost like opening up too many, if you will. And so it kind of siphons talent from one spot or another. And so a lot of the Dallas area schools are able to harness it. And then, Jerry, I'm sure you know this, but for everything, the men's basketball side of things did or boys basketball in the DFW area, some of their best players weren't even in like public school ball.
No, they weren't.
Right?
They're all in dynamic prep together.
Yeah. So, Gooseby and Marcus Spears Jr. Yeah. So it's a very talent rich area. The good thing for us is a lot of those folks, a lot of those parents have an affinity for Texas, or at least, what's happening on the 40 acres these days. So could end up being beneficial for us in the long run anyways. But yeah, they've managed to kind of carve out a nice little niche up there in the DFW area.
Yeah. And look, I think Joshy Manning asks, what's the reason the Dallas area has become so dominant? I would say just traveling all of it for years and just seeing the differences now. Dallas has bigger, longer limb athletes in basketball by big numbers, by the way. And in football, they have more big, fast guys right now. And some of it could be to Marcus's point, has Houston spread out their talent too much? I mean, how many high schools is in Cypress? How many high schools is in Fort Bend now, which I think is the big one? When they decided to start building a new school at 2,300 students, you get left behind in athletics at that point. Fort Bend Marshall's had some good runs in basketball. Of course, Ronnie Courtney has won multiple state titles. And by the way, congrats to TJ Ford and that Willow Ridge team. They got they were celebrated at 25 years after one of their state championships at the state tournament or state championship games this weekend. But, to your point, Marcus, I mean, when Fort Bend started building a new school at 2,300 students, and you look at how many schools there are now, they can have skill talent, but you don't have enough big people. You don't have enough big people. You see the same thing, Frisco, the couple of Friscos, Lone Star and whatnot, have unbelievable skill. But still, the Friscos are a little too spread out for all the big people. But when you go south, when you're in Duncanville's one horse town. I mean, everybody, 4,700 students that go to Duncanville, there's no spreading that talent out anywhere. Why do you think Reggie Samples, David Peavy wanted those jobs? I mean, they knew. They had multiple NBA guys on David Peavy's team. I don't think Reggie Samples has coached a team at Duncanville that doesn't have less than 3 or 4 future NFL draft picks on it. And they're all big guys. They're big guys. They're skill guys, the Corey and Moores of the world, but there's a lot of big guys on those teams. DeSoto. And the thing about I-20, since they're kind of one-horse town schools more so, when Joey McGuire was at Cedar Hill, a lot of players were transferring in there because they saw the success they were having, and he was such a fun guy to play for. Once he left and went to the college ranks, those guys started heading east a little bit. So it helps DeSoto, right? It helps DeSoto when Claude Mathis comes back. Reggie Samples was established at Duncanville, Lancaster. I mean, so that talent just kind of slides along I-20, depending on where the coaches are and kind of the timing of it all in football and basketball. But it's just bigger, longer athletes in basketball. And football, they have more big, talented people right now. Both areas have tremendous skill. But I think DFW just has bigger guys right now.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
All right, guys. Let's see here. I think Bobby is still having some technical difficulties.
Hey, so let's answer another one. Antoine has this one. Marcus, is Justice Terry in the DT or DE room? He's out for the spring with the shoulder injury. So that's the first thing, rehabbing the injury that he's had since high school. It got better, then it got worse last year at times. Then he missed the bowl game. He's out for the spring. I think the focus is to get him 100% healthy for the season. But will he be in the DT or DN room? He's 287 pounds now. Remember, he came to Texas at 258. But, Marcus, I think the good thing about Will Muschamp's scheme is there are a lot of different places for Justice Terry to play, either that being, whether that's your 5 tech, your big edge and a 3-man front, big kind of 4-eye, or then an interior defensive line disruptor in a 4-man front. I think Justice Terry's got a chance to take off in this scheme.
Yeah, I agree. I think, obviously the biggest thing is just making sure he's able to get healthy. We know somewhat down the stretch, he had a little bit of some kind of nagging injuries. And so I was looking forward to him being able to get healthy. But ultimately, this is, the time of year for that. And fortunately, at that position, and, like you said, based on Muschamp's scheme and all the number of different bodies that they have, that's something that they can sustain. So I'm looking forward to, being able to get healthy and just, get out there and find where Muschamp can deploy him, because it's an attacking style defense. And I think that's something that fits Justice Terry very well.
Yeah. I think Bobby is back in action. Welcome back.
We're trying. It's a new week, my man. It's a new week. How y'all doing today? Hey, Marcus, I'm sorry about earlier, buddy.
You're all right, man. You're good. I had my own technical difficulties earlier. I was restarting my computer, so it's just a Monday.
Unbelievable. I mean, what a way to start Monday. This sputter all around. Hey, guys, I didn't get a chance to hear the original conversation about the Longhorns getting an 11 seed in men's, the women's with another first number 1 overall seed for Coach Vic Schaefer. He's going to be joining us here at 9:00, I believe. Marcus, I asked this and I was asking this, and Jerry kind of, I think, answered. Are there too many teams in the tournament right now? Is my question for you guys. 68 teams. And I wrote an article this morning on Texas football. Look, 68 teams is a lot. Texas was 9-9 in conference. That doesn't feel like they should be going to the quote-unquote postseason. But this is what we've done. In football, Texas finishes the year 6-2 in conferences and goes to a bowl game. At what level is the right level for this kind of stuff? Because I feel like it's almost overwrought now with teams. And to Jerry's point, they're even trying to add teams right now to the NCAA tournament. Where do you feel is too much? When is it too much here?
I don't know. I mean, to me, I wouldn't expand it any further, right? At least on the basketball side of things. I mean, you're already at a point where it's, tougher to get teams that are really kind of finishing strong down the stretch into the tournament, right? Like a lot of the teams, including, Texas, kind of limp their way in. And the majority of those, don't really have a shot at it, right? And so I can't see, why you would want to add more teams beyond just it's another attempt to grab more money, which I get. That's always, kind of the name of the game. But certainly on the football side of things, I think you got to, expand it out a little further. But even then, like it's kind of challenging because once you do that, how many of those teams realistically have a shot? So it's not a perfect scenario. And I think ultimately when it's all said and done, you'll go to some form of a super conference type deal. But I guess I still hold that nostalgia for March Madness. And, every now and then you get your Cinderella teams that make a run, but I wouldn't want to go beyond, this current iteration of like the 64 plus the play in. Like I don't see it making much sense to do that.
I guess my thought process is if you were to put this Texas basketball team into an NCAA tournament, they hold much less chance of making it very far than this Texas football team would have.
Yeah,
in my
I
opinion.
agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it's the inequity between sports, in my opinion. It's not the basketball team's fault. It's not the football team's fault. It's the whole apparatus that we have. I'm not trying to push a notion here that I think maybe football needs to expand.
That's
initially
sure.
I thought it was 16. I think it may be 24. I don't know. It feels disingenuous. It feels a little odd that Texas football was playing its best ball of the year at the end of the year and didn't get the benefit of it. Whereas Texas basketball, I thought, was playing and lost 4 of their last 5 down the stretch. Not that they were playing poorly. They played some good teams. I know that, and lost in overtime to OU. But my point being that the inequity between sports, it kind of tells me, and this is what I was trying to get at, because over the weekend, I did a lot of digging on this whole NCAA structure and what the future might look like. It just tells me that all of these sports under one umbrella don't make sense. Like, why not just break football and or basketball away from the NCAA? Because they are clearly different sports, yet they're all under one umbrella. And I don't necessarily think they should be, because football is different than basketball. Basketball is different from, ice hockey or swimming or whatever. I mean, I'm just I'm to the point right now where I feel like there's too many differences to try to put everything under one NCAA umbrella. I think that's my larger point.
Yeah, I think, look, I've been on the train the whole time that the football needs to, they need to go to 16 playoff teams. That way, a couple of 9-3 teams that maybe didn't play up to their talent level, didn't play up to their expectations, that still had good seasons founded at some point, get in the playoff. I do think that's where it needs to go, is the 16. I'll tell you why the NCAA tournament from a basketball standpoint has it 100% correct. And it's why it's the best sporting event in college athletics by far, not even close, is you had NC State as an 11 seed 2 years ago go to the Final Four. UCLA in 21 as an 11 seed went to the Final Four. You have the mid-majors of Loyola Chicago in 2018, Shaka Smart way back in 2011, got to the Final Four. You've had, obviously, you've only had one low seed, Villanova, win a national championship as an 8 seed in 1985. But you have the true underdogs who have had great success in the NCAA basketball tournament. St. Peter's went to an Elite Eight as a 15. We've now had 16 beat ones in the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, I think the NCAA tournament from a tournament standpoint has it 100% correct. Do I think they should expand it? Heck no. But do they have it correct? I think they're spot on, and it's what makes it one of the best sporting events in sports on any level is because there is a real element of underdogs, not just being in, but having success in making runs, because it is hard as anything to go win 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, or 6 games in a row in an NCAA tournament in basketball. Ball may not go in. Somebody may this tournament's being greatly impacted by injury, like the one in 22 was as well. So I think they have the NCAA basketball tournament has it spot on. I think football needs to expand, whether that's 16 or 24. They need to expand to get a similar product that the NCAA basketball tournament has. I think it's an unbelievable sporting event, and I think it's why people love it. If you want to cheer for underdogs, you can see that they've had great success at times.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think it is a great sporting event. I wish there was equity between football and basketball. Or as much focus, I guess, is what I'm getting at, right? Where people can come together and actually have a decision and a discussion instead of just leaving it at 12. That was the grand decision this year was just not do anything.
Yeah, I don't.
That's my problem is that it just feels like you have one entity or multiple entities now. I don't know how you would term this. I think that football, the more I look at it, probably just needs to break away from the NCAA. And I think number of teams in a national championship playoff is part of that process. I think a number of different rules need to be separate. Lots of things need to be different.
All right, guys. Well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate you as always.
Hey, we got one more thing we got to talk about.
What you got?
We haven't got Marcus's reaction. We talked about it last night, and we're going to bring this up. I just wanted everybody's thoughts because Rod and I talked about it last night.
Oh, yeah.
I had to ask Marcus, Bobby. Justice has found out Russell Wilson wanted to transfer to Texas when he left NC State. He says thanks, Mac. But that is 100% true. I talked about that last night. Rod kind of reiterated that. It was that Russell Wilson, when he transferred from NC State, I think he was a big kind of Texas baseball fan, is the history of that. But he was ready to transfer to Texas, and Texas did not take him at the time. So he went to Wisconsin. But we didn't. We have to get, because it went so viral, we have to get everybody's thoughts on that, because it's just, it's just you commit yourself to the high school recruit, which was Garrett Gilbert at the time, and stuck with that. But Russell Wilson, this is the fun thing for us. It's easy for us to look back on these situations and know what went into it, and the revisionist history is easy from our end, guys. But that was that kind of hit the news this weekend after the video came out of Russell and his stepson at Austin for a little unofficial visit.
Yeah, it's like you said, it is always interesting when you look back on these things. Like, nobody knew that Russell Wilson would become, what he is today, or, at least in the prime of his career. And I always do just find it interesting, and I know any number of things go into this, and they had some levels of success at that time too, but like, it wasn't like he picked, I don't know, Ohio State or Florida. Like, he ultimately ended up going to Wisconsin, which, for whatever reason he chose to make the decision. I get it. And I know it's easy to pile on, in having the, hindsight of how kind of Texas went through, purgatory for a while there. But, it is cool to, at least see that he still has an affinity for the university, knows, the benefits of the athletic program. And so, if his stepson grows up to be a good ball player, then, maybe we got a shot at him. But it is kind of cool to, look back on it and play what if. I think that would actually be a fun little kind of segment or something we could do one of these days. But, that'd probably send the chat on fire. So.
The handling of the quarterback position post Colt McCoy could be a novel.
Yeah.
I think that's the reality of it. Russell Wilson, it's not like he was chopped liver at that time either.
Sure.
Marcus, he was runner up for ACC Player of the Year before.
Yeah.
So I think that to Jerry's point and everybody's point, I mean, it was not the first mistake Mac Brown made at quarterback to end his career at Texas, but it was one of many. Super Bowl winner, I guess, is one of the issues. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? It happens. I thought it was cool, though, that Russell Wilson brought his kid to Texas.
Yeah.
Or his stepchild to Texas, hung out there. You see that a lot right now, by the way, whether it's Marcus Spears and his daughter on campus at Texas on the volleyball team, another number of different people. I think it's kind of cool that Texas has that cliche or that cachet, rather, that brings the big dogs in,
Yeah. It's a good place to be these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good place to be.
All right, Marcus. Well, thank you so much as always. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next Monday, man.
All right, hook 'em.
Okay, buddy. Take care of yourself.
All right, guys. Well, we do have Vic Schaefer going to join us here in about a little less than 10 minutes. But first, Bobby, I need you to tell everyone this morning about Hollow Stock.
I can do it, Blake, if you don't mind. These are now my favorite socks. There's no two ways about it. It's Hollow socks. Lightweight, supportive, and unbelievably soft. They're 3 times warmer than wool, yet still lightweight and breathable when it is warm outside. They are alpaca socks built for the field. These are performance-grade socks made from ultra-soft baby alpaca fibers, engineered for rugged conditions and designed to keep your feet dry, warm, and comfortable no matter where the day takes you. Hollow doesn't just make socks for the outdoors. They're engineered for everyday activity, for soft, breathable comfort for daily wear, travel, or downtime. There's also compression socks. They're good for that. Trade socks. For a limited time, Hollow Socks is having a buy 2, get 2 free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. That's hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. You can support our show by telling them that OTF sent you. Again, buy 2, get 2 free sale at hollowsocks.com. Once you try alpaca socks, you're going to have a hard time finding anything you like better. Again, that's hollowsocks.com.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm going to tell everyone this morning about one of our new sponsors, and that is Square. Support for today's episode of Coffee and Football comes from Square, which honestly, if you've ever paid at a food truck, coffee shop, or a local store, and the checkout took like 2 seconds, there's a good chance you've already used it. I see it all the time around here. You walk up, you grab your coffee or whatever, tap your card or phone, boom, done. No weird register problems, no digging around for change, no waiting forever while someone figures out the system. That's because Square basically puts everything a business needs in one place. Payments, point of sale, inventory tracking, customer tools, even setting up an online store if you want to sell stuff on the internet. It's simple, it looks clean, and businesses can actually focus on customers instead of fighting with tech. And the cool part is Square works whether you're just starting out or running multiple locations. It's for everyone. And right now, our listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/ontexas. That's square.com, square.com/go/on-Texas. Run your business smarter with Square and get started today. All right. Well, while we wait on Vic, we have a couple of super chats that we need to get to.
Let's do it.
Bill here. And let's see. We got a couple of basketball ones. So let's do those. That'll be a good transition into Vic. Jason Hablinski, thank you for your super chat, says, Jerry, did you like Sean's comments about the season? I don't think we are in an era where it takes time to build a program.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of that's kind of the problem with fan bases. They don't allow for that. And that's just not reality. I mean, that's just not reality. I mean, look, if you're hired at Kentucky and you have a $21 million roster in basketball, probably not. But if you're not in that tier 1 or tier 2 of NIL in basketball, yeah, you have to build it a little different. I think that's kind of – look, that's my issue with college sports right now and it's not a fan base. It's all fan bases. It's national championship now or bust. That's just not, for me, that's just not reality. I mean, that's not reality. You still have to build programs, and and there's different levels to it. You have to do it two different ways. One, you can, like I said, if you're a Louisville or Kentucky and you're spending that much in basketball NIL, then there's an expectation there. It's a different expectation. If you're not, it's definitely more of a build. I mean, it's why I've said all season on the basketball side, I said these first-year coaches making the NCAA tournament aren't guaranteed. And all you have to do is look up the history of that. If you just look up the history and say Danny Hurley, Chris Beard at Ole Miss, Rick Pitino at St. John's, Nate Oates at Alabama, Todd Golden at Florida, Brad Underwood at Illinois, probably Mick Cronin. There wasn't a tournament, they probably wouldn't have made it that first year. Those guys are all really, really good coaches, Hall of Fame coaches on some levels. None of them made the NCAA tournament their first year at their school in the portal era. So I think there's different levels to all this. But I think that's kind of the patience of fan bases nowadays for building programs just isn't there. And I just don't think that's really reality a high percentage of the time. That's just me. And I think the one thing about Texas basketball been through some turmoil. Sean Miller was brought in to stabilize a program and build a program. He wasn't brought in for instant gratification. Texas needed somebody to stabilize the program and build the program. And while Texas made 6 NCAA tournaments in a row now, that doesn't mean it was all smooth. There was turmoil there because of Beard's exit. And then subsequently that team still made it to the Elite Eight. Rodney Terry got the job. Then you have a change there. Texas has been on 3 coaches in how many years in basketball? It just the odds of somebody coming in and just being a Final Four team in year one, it's not reality. And by the way, I'll end this too for people that haven't done research on basketball. The last first-year coach to make an Elite Eight in his first year was Jerome Tang. He's fired 3 years later. The only 2 coaches to make a Final Four in the modern era, there's 3 of them, in their first year at a college basketball team as a coach was Steve Fisher in '89 when Frieder left. They won the national championship. Bill Guthrie. Yeah. No. Before that, it was Glenn Rice and those guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then North Carolina, Bill Guthridge, who was handed, when Dean Smith retired, he was handed a team with multiple All-Pros and Hall of Famers on it, including Vince Carter. And then the other one was Hubert Davis, who was left a team full of NBA players when Roy Williams stepped down. That's it. That's all that's made the Final Four in year one as a coach at their school. Jerome Tang's made the Elite Eight. He's fired 3 years later. So there's still a build to it. And it's just, I just think that if you look at the history and even in the portal era, it's just not that easy.
I want to add this to what Jerry said. I agree with him, first of all. It's not a one and done, but that's what good programs are, consistent ones, right? In other words, you can have that 1 year anomaly that you get to a Final Four or you get to an Elite Eight or whatever, but that's not what Texas, or I think Texas fans want. They want consistency. And that, I don't care what business you're in, whether it's college basketball, football, baseball, or, selling widgets on the side of the road. It takes consistency to build that up. And it doesn't take just a year. Now, people are going to look over at Kurt Cignetti at Indiana and say, how did he do that? Well, he brought half his team with him from James Madison. That was part of it. So he actually had some consistency there with the players he was coaching. I guess what I would say, just to add to where Jerry's headed, is, look, we want at Texas across the board to consistently compete for championships. You don't know whether or not you're going to do that in 1 year. It could be a 1 year wonder. Don't forget, this 3 years ago, Steve Sarkisian was saying, look, I know we made it to the semifinals and lost to Washington, but the last thing we want is this to be a 1 year deal. We need to be consistent over time. You need to apply the same sort of criteria to Sean Miller. If you want to be good consistently, it takes time and it takes effort, and you know what? It takes players. And so all 3 of those things have to come together. But I think Sean Miller's done a terrific job in year one, Has he exceeded expectations? He's about at level, probably. But I will say this: I think Texas has the right guy on the job to be a consistent winner, and that's really where what it comes down to at Texas.
Somebody asked in the chat about Justice Terry, and because people join the shows at different times, I talked about that with Marcus. He is out for the entire spring. That shoulder pec area that caused him issues late in his high school career got better, then re-injured that thing late in his freshman year, missed the bowl game. He is out for the entire spring. I think Texas they got to get him back to 100%. And they want that to be in August.
And we got a super chat on Justice Terry. Terrence Jones here says, "Hey, Bobby or Jerry, at what level of high school ball did Terry play at? Just curious if it's taken him time to adjust to a faster level of football."
I think it did a little bit. I mean, he came on at the end of last year. Look, he has always been a kind of freaky athlete for his size. So it was not about the faster level. I think it was the level he was playing against. And it wasn't fast, it was strong, and how other people could kind of negate some of his best qualities, or at least mitigate some of his best qualities. Look, I went to Manchester High School and covered his signing day ceremony. That town is 3,500 people.
Yeah. It's like a small Texas town.
Yeah. I don't know if it's 2A or 3A or what the equivalent would be in Texas, but it's a small town. It's about an hour, 10, hour and 15 south of Atlanta. I don't think it's the faster level that got him, though. I think it's the combination of size, and he's finally going up against guys bigger than him, and he's still got to use his own quickness and his own ability to get through that. I think it's just a normal, Terrence, I think it's a normal, it's what kids normally go through, frankly, when they make a step up from a lower level classification.
By the way, I don't think I've said this on the show. Maybe I have. I know I've said it on TexasFootball.com. Just a little nugget about Manchester, Georgia right now, since we're on the subject, because it goes into 2027 recruiting. Jeremiah Culpepper, linebacker from LaGrange, Georgia, Troup County High, who was in town 2 days last week with his parents. His parents are from Manchester, Georgia, not far away. Those two towns aren't far away. LaGrange is a bigger city, obviously. They grew up with Justice Terry's parents. Does that mean, Jeremiah Culpepper's going to Texas? I already had Texas leading Auburn before the visit and then the June official visit, because I think there's a Will Muschamp connection there at Troup County, too, that's pretty strong. But there's a lot of reasons to kind of point to with Jeremiah Culpepper, the 4-star plus linebacker out of Troup County, and say Texas has a really good shot, and those are two of them right there. But in the NIL world, you have to see how it all plays out. But for a linebacker out of LaGrange, Georgia, Troup County High, before I went over there, I didn't know how many connections Texas may have in that recruitment that could be beneficial to them, because Justice Terry's happy at Texas.
And let's see here. We got 2 from Jeff Carey. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you as always. He says, can we win 1 or 2 games in the basketball tournament? What could the team look like next season? And then he goes on to joke 14 losses. We should fire Kyle Flood.
Jeff, I don't know. That first game's a toss-up, man. Neither team played well down the stretch. Some of that was also the opponents they played. Texas had a tough last 5 regular season game stretch in the SEC play, when 3 of them were on the road against quad 1 games, all NCAA tournament teams. Texas did win one of those. Didn't end the season well at home against Oklahoma. Ole Miss was as bad as they played. So NC State coming from the same place. If you listen to Will Wade's pressers, who may be funnier than Sean Miller's in some ways. So toss-up game. I do think whichever team wins that, if you can overcome the travel, like we were talking about earlier, you're on a bird to Dayton this morning, play tomorrow. If you win, you're on a bird. Then early that next morning, going to Portland, having to turn around and play BYU pretty quick. But without Richie Saunders, who's an NBA draft pick at shooting guard, BYU is definitely beatable. They fell way off to 9-9 in Big 12 play, but they're going to be well rested. in Texas or NC State, whoever it is, will be the opposite of well-rested from a travel standpoint and a playing standpoint. But I give either one of those teams a chance against BYU. And by the way, next year's team, I expect there to be 6 or 7 guys out of the portal. It's way too early to see what say or even guess, because the basketball portal's really going to be a bloodbath, I think, because of rev share. If you're a Grand Canyon, I'm just throwing them out. I threw them out last time. If you're a Grand Canyon and have a really good player and you're not a football school, from a rev share standpoint, you can compete to keep your best player now in basketball. If you're in the Big East and you don't play football, you're in a pretty good spot from a rev share plus NIL created standpoint. So it's going to be a bloodbath in the basketball portal. It'll be interesting.
All right. Well, hopefully, I think Vic is still coming and just running a little late here. So while we wait on him, Bobby, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell everyone about Changing Austin this morning.
I could do that. Thank you, Blake, very much for letting them know about Changing Austin. This is a new podcast, or not a new podcast. It's one that's reviving from last year. How do we build Austin's future without breaking from its past? That's the question at the heart of the Changing Austin podcast, powered by Amplify Credit Union. Join host Stacy Armijo for bi-weekly conversations about how local organizations are shaping Austin's tomorrow. And this month, Changing Austin is kicking off its second season with new guests, including the head film buyer at the Alamo Draft House and the former president and chief programming officer of South by Southwest. You can visit changingaustin.com to catch up on the first season, then subscribe for season 2 wherever you get your podcast. So visit www.changingaustin.com to join the conversation today. Again, that's changingaustin.com.
And Jerry, if you'd be so kind to let everyone know about Vaughn Lane.
What is Vaughn Lane? It's first class without the fees. I love when airlines advertise low fares and hit you with the fees for everything. Want a seat? Fee. Want to check a bag? Fee. Want Wi-Fi that actually connects? Good luck. Some carriers are just now making you pay $80 or more just for a seat assignment on their cheapest tickets, or you roll the dice at check-in. Real relaxing way to start a trip, right? Vaughn Lane flips the whole script. You walk into the beautiful hotel terminal, no lines, no TSA, no stress. You board a coach with just 22 first-class leather seats, everything included, Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, hot towel service, and complimentary meals on select departures. Bags, bring them, no charge. And the internet is Starlink, which means it's fast, reliable, and actually works the whole trip, not just when the plane hits cruising altitude and the stars align. Plus, Vaughn Lane just expanded with more departure times between Houston and San Antonio and between Fort Worth and Austin. Vaughn Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. Go to vaughnlane.com and enter promo code OTF26 for $20 off your first ride. What is Vaughn Lane? It's a private jet on wheels.
It sounds like they're trying to get Vic all set up, so he'll be joining us here in a moment. We got another super chat that we can visit in the meantime. This one from Devon, and he says, "I'm tired of seeing the playoff expand. Win your games. Takes away from regular season and takes the importance away on regular season games."
I agree with this, but I think that for basketball, I think that the right number is 64, and I think they keep trying to expand it to Jerry's point to make more money. I mean, that's just the reality of it, in my opinion. For football, I do think that there's room for 16 to 24. I say this, and I do think Texas was playing a level of ball last year that had they got into the tournament, they could have caused some problems for people. I think that one is too tight and the other one is too broad. I think football is too tight right now, and I think basketball is too broad. That's just my particular opinion.
Yeah, I think my only pushback on the super chat, and appreciate the super chat, is it gives you no margin for error with injury. Because one thing you can't control is injury. What if a team has really bad injury luck early in a season and they maybe drop a game or two. When they come back and they get healthy and they look like a totally different team. And that can happen in either sport, by the way. So if you have bad injury luck, you're out. You're done, because injuries happen in sports, obviously. That's my only thing is it gives you zero leeway for injury. And I just don't think that's realistic in sports.
But here's the point, Jerry. If you only have 24 teams,
well, I think
your
regular season games and make the playoffs or not. But that doesn't. If you have a small number, it doesn't account for injuries that happen during a season that can affect the team. That's all I was saying. But keep going.
Yeah, I hear you. If you're 9-3 and you play in the SEC, the Big Ten, you should probably get in the playoffs in football. Is my point. I don't know that you should. What we've got now is, I mean, Texas, just as an example, was 9-9 in conference and got in, compared to a 6-2 conference record in football and didn't get in. I just think there's inequity between the two sports. And maybe for that reason, college basketball regular season is not as important as college football's regular season is. To the Super Chat's point, right, is I think that there's a lot more eyes on college football regular season than there is college basketball regular season. So there are elements that the basketball group got right, and there are elements they got wrong. I think the same can be said for football. Elements they've gotten right, elements they've gotten wrong.
All right, I think Coach Schaefer is here. He might be on the go, but he's here. I'm gonna bring him in. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, brothers.
Hey, I don't see that whistle, Coach. Where's your whistle? Is it in there somewhere?
It's on my desk, boys. I've been on the phone and been sitting in my truck for an hour on the phone, and just now getting out of my truck to walk in. But how's everybody doing?
Good. You trying to recruit somebody there, Coach? Is that why you're? that's usually why coaches are on the phone.
Hey, always. That never ends. I'm telling you, it never ends.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, number 1 seed. Congrats on that. That is an accomplishment in basketball at the new level. That is quite the accomplishment, because that means you've had a tremendously consistent, positive season in a big-time conference. I think we asked you early in the season, where you thought your team was, what you thought they had to do to kind of get to the point they're at now with very important games left to play. But can you kind of talk about that progression this year to winning the SEC tournament? Congrats on that, by the way. The progression of your team.
Thank you.
How proud you are of where they've come, and how close are they to where you thought you could be headed into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I am awfully proud of them. They've really, again, my teams, y'all, continue to get better typically during the season. We don't hit February and go, okay, this is what we got. Let's do the best we can. I've never been that guy. My teams have always gotten better in February, March, and even now, right now, we just keep working, And so this team, I just love this team because they've learned to respond. They've learned to deal with a little adversity, and they've gotten better. And, this time of year, y'all, when you're playing good, you want to keep playing. When you're banged up and you might be hurt or something, that's when 2 weeks off after the conference tournament, you're like, man, we need this break. This will be good. Well, I'm not that guy. We're playing our best basketball right now, so I want to keep playing. So my challenge has been to try to keep an edge, during practices to keep us playing at a high level. We got back on Sunday night and I gave them Monday, Tuesday off. And we came back Wednesday, Thursday, and we had we had it. We still kept it. We still had our edge. And I love that. Again, Friday, we just lifted and we shot. And then I gave them Saturday off. And we came back yesterday and practiced. And wasn't quite as good as I'd liked it to been, but you know, these kids work really hard. So I'm anxious to get them back in today and get ready for Friday. But again, I'm proud of this group. They've really gotten better. They keep working at it. Here's your whistle. You know, they keep working at it, and you know, to be 31-3, to win that tournament in the fashion that they did it. I mean, really impressed. You can't help but be impressed. Like, I'm so impressed with them, and have so much respect and admiration for this group.
Hey, Coach, I got a chance to see you guys play this year a couple different times. One of those times was actually in Nashville against Vanderbilt, and you guys got taken to the woodshed a little bit. And I saw you over there. You took off your coat in the first quarter. What was it? he's leaving the screen for that one. No, seriously, what was it? Was that a turning point, do you think, for y'all in the season, or was it a blip on the road? How would you describe that? Because once y'all lost that game, you came back and you seemed to have a different, I don't know if a different fire is the right word, but a different consternation about you, like a stronger backbone, even, maybe. I don't know. What was that?
You know, first, just give Vanderbilt a ton of credit. They played so well that night.
Yeah.
And as y'all know, I didn't feel like we played very well, and I thought we could have done more and could have played better. And, you know, I think the biggest thing that impressed me about that whole thing is the next day in practice on that Friday, Madison Booker was a leader. Her voice, she really, really, you know, she really took the leadership role a little bit in practice. And it was really encouraging for me to see that response. And then we had to go to Tennessee a day later and play.
Yep.
You know, and Tennessee's like, they roll out all those bodies that are like WNBA players, and you know, they're so streaky, can play really well. And we went in there and we got the best version of Tennessee that day, and got out of there with a win. But you know, I think, again, when you look back at that, man, they have absolutely responded since that day. And you know, sometimes, you know, it takes something like that to kind of wake you up and get your attention. I mean, the truth hurts sometimes. And, you know, for me, looking in the mirror, you know, being accountable for my team, myself, my staff, you know, I just, again, Vanderbilt's really good.
Yeah.
They're really good on their home floor. It's a different floor. Benches are on each end. It's just a different atmosphere. But the main thing that's different is they're really good. Shea Ralph's a really good coach, has done a great job. And so I just think, you know, our response after that game, starting in practice the next day, and then now it's just kind of carried over into since then. I don't know what we've done, but I know we hadn't lost a game.
Right.
And we've played pretty well in those games that we've been in.
Hey, Coach, you a lot of times this time of year, and we get it, head coach does the interviews, players are talked about the most. I want to give you an opportunity, because I also kind of want to know from your standpoint, you don't get here without really good staff. And now y'all's approach going into the tournament, how many teams are y'all scouting right now? Because you don't know who you're going to play in round one. You know one of the two teams you play in round two, assuming you were in round one. We don't ever want to go too far, but I just want to give you an opportunity to give your assistants some love and talk about, from a basketball standpoint, for the fans that may not know, how is the scouting process right now for you guys going into the tournament?
Yeah, so we met last night as a staff, and I handed out scouting assignments, and I'll have two coaches on Stephen F. Austin and Missouri State. So both those teams, Stephen F. was the 3 seed in their tournament, and they upset the 1. And then Missouri State was the 6 seed in their tournament, and they upset the 1. And so I gave 2 coaches, those teams, 1 coach each team. Then the second round matchup, I got 2 other coaches on those 2 teams. I am so into one game at a time, y'all. I can't even look past that. I won't even look past Stephen F. Austin, Missouri State to Oregon, Virginia Tech. I just won't do it. I'll cram, on Friday night, if we're fortunate to win the first game, I'll cram all night like I did in college and get ready for Sunday. But I'll already have a coach that will have been watching film since last night at 11 on those other 2 teams. So, we're familiar with a little bit with everybody. Both those teams, obviously Big Ten and ACC, we haven't seen either one of them. We might have run across them during the year scouting somebody else, but for the most part, we don't really know a lot about them other than we know that Virginia Tech finished 6th in the ACC. The ACC has 9 teams in the NCAA tournament. Oregon finished 11th, I think, and they got 11 teams in the NCAA tournament in the Big Ten. So, but my staff is so good. They are so thorough in scouting. You all would be both amazed and impressed with how they get our men's practice team prepared. Like, we were on the road in the at the SEC tournament, and Coach Conrad is with us, and we got off the plane that night after winning the championship, and she said, "Coach, your scouting is off the chart." She said it is so thorough, and it is. I mean, when we go to the film room, our kids have a notebook. They bring it with them every day. They have paper and pen. For me in college, I'm not ashamed to say it. College was hard for me, and the only way I could learn anything was write it down, and then go home and rewrite it. And it took me 4 years to figure it out. That's just how my brain is. They can bring me a scouting report right now, and I can look at it. But for me to go take it to the floor and go through plays with my team, it'll take forever. But if I write down those plays, if I watch it on film and I write them down, I can go out there and verbatim. I don't even have to look at the paper. So our staff is really, really thorough with our men's practice team, getting them in other teams' offensive sets, out of bounds plays. They might run a specific defense. And so really, really fortunate. I mean, Elena, obviously my associate coach, been with me forever. Blair and Sydney played for me, so they know what it looks like and what's necessary. And Wiz has been with me now, I think, 4 years. So I got a great staff, y'all. I'm smart enough to know you can't do it by yourself. I got to have help. I can't see it all. And my staff does a great job getting our kids ready to play. They do a great job in game too.
Hey, Coach, I had a question for you. We were talking about Sean Miller earlier, and the goal for coaches like yourself, and you've done this, and so that's why I'm asking this question, is to create consistent winners, not just one-hit wonders, right? You don't want to go to the Elite Eight once and then bounce the first round the next year. You want to do it year after year. What's your secret to being a consistent winner at a high level?
I just got off the phone with somebody who I admire and respect so much. And in this league, y'all, in my opinion, if you're going to coach in this league, I make jokes all the time. People say, "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" And I'm saying, my answer is, I've said it 1,000 times. Hey, man, I'm just trying to keep a job. I've said that, and you might take that lightly, but the truth of the matter is, at Texas, being good that ain't it. and I got no desire to be good. Like, I don't, that's not what motivates me. I'm trying to win the last game of the year every year. And, this is 3 years in a row now we've been a 1 seed. But to me, the secret is, just like I ask my team to keep an edge, to bring the wood. I got a bat over here that was made by a Cajun, and he always tells me, bring the wood. When you go, and I use that going into the South Carolina game, I said, hey guys, we got to bring the wood. Well, to me, if you're going to live in this league, you better have an edge every day. You better have an edge in recruiting. You better have an edge in preparation. You better be able to convey that to your players to have and keep an edge, because this is a nightmare of a league. And if you're not ready, as has happened, if you're not ready, you won't get beat. You'll get embarrassed. And for me, I think more than anything, I don't want to disappoint anybody. When Scott Strickland hired me at Mississippi State, he gave me my opportunity. Man, I wasn't going to let that guy down to save my life. Like, he gave me my chance to be a head coach, and I didn't want to disappoint him. He's a great man, a great administrator, now the AD at Florida. Well, CDC gave me the chance to be here at Texas, along with the approval of, CP, Kathy Harston, Coach Conrad. Like, those three are Texas women's basketball. I know that. I grew up with knowing them when they were here, and Coach was the head coach, and Coach Harston was on her staff. And, of course, CP's been here, forever. So for me, that's what motivates me. I don't want to disappoint anybody. They've been trusting me with this program. But for me, I've got no interest in being good. Like, it just doesn't. It's like when I go fishing, y'all. I'm not going fishing to sit out there and drink beer. I can drink beer another time. I'm going out there to catch my limit, to catch big fish. That's so I'm doing my homework. I know when the major is. I know where they're eating, what they're eating, and the time of day they're eating. I'm just, that's just me. And it'd be like my son. He don't want to go fishing. He wants to go catching. He don't want to go hunting. He wants to go killing. And so I just think that, again, that's what motivates me and helps me keep an edge, and makes me want to bring the wood.
So, Coach, follow up to that, because you went right into my next question. 3 McDonald's All-Americans this year. I mean, because it's always, look, 3rd year in a row, #1 seed. This is 4 years in a row a McDonald's All-American has signed with Texas. I believe it's the 3rd time ever that 3 have been selected for the Texas women in one class. I want you to kind of talk about that, how everything kind of connects. But more importantly, what did you eat for dinner after you won the SEC championship? Because I always ask that question. I got to know, what do you eat after you win the SEC championship?
The answer to that question, it's real easy. I couldn't eat. Like, I was, they bring that food in the locker room, and we were all sitting around and just really happy, and everybody was eating but me. Like, I've got my food there, and I'm like, I'm just not that hungry. I was, spent, tired more than anything. And yet I still didn't sleep on the plane. I watched the game again on the way home on the computer. So didn't really eat anything. Our recruiting class, again, you got to give my staff a ton of credit. Signed #8 kid out of Kansas City, #10 kid out of Denver, Colorado. She's the all-time leading scorer in the history of Colorado high school basketball. And then the kid out of Nevada, Lizzie, again, just a really great player. We love Amalia out of California. She's the last Mamba kid, and had a heck of a senior year. And her and Lizzie were teammates in AAU together. played for the national championship on the EYBL circuit with Nike. And then the commitment that we have, which it's a commitment, I can't really talk about it. We'll just leave it at that, but they're really good too. And so, recruiting is the lifeblood of your program. Again, I was on the phone this morning with somebody. You can hire really good coaches, but in this league, if you're going to rely on out coaching somebody night in and night out, it's just not going to happen. You can sneak up on somebody every now and then, but if you're going to be consistent, it's going to be really, really hard. You're going to have players. And so I think for us, we know that you got to go get players. You got to have great players that fit your system, that fit how you want to play, that fit your culture. And, we'll be young next year, but we're going to be really talented. And all those kids are going to come in here and compete and want to play. And, you hope like heck you can hold on to the ones you got and get them back to go with them, because if you can, I fully expect us to be right back where we are right now.
Well, Coach Vic, before we let you go, we have a viewer question for you. Not basketball related, but Sailor Joe here says that today is his 26th birthday, and he wants some advice or wisdom from one of the greatest coaches in our lifetime.
Wow. It's not what you do, but how you do it that will separate you in life. It's what separates us from the rest of the country here at Texas, in my opinion, in my program. To me, that's that we try to live by that. It's in our locker room. It's on the wall. It's not what we do, but how we do it. And what that might mean is simply this: like, if Sark's over there and they got the sled drill going over there at the practice field, you know what? They're doing the same sled drill at Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, wherever. But it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. It's the attention to detail. It's the focus. It's whatever you're doing. And for us, to me, again, I'm sure we do the same shell defensive drill that everybody else does, but we coach that drill to the infinite smallest thing, from paying attention to what their pivot foot is when they catch the ball on the perimeter, to where we're trying to influence the ball, to where our help side is, to finishing off the defensive play with a good box out and a rebound. I mean, it's not what you do, but how you do it in life that's going to allow you a chance to be successful. And again, remember, you're either coaching it or allowing it. So when you want to sit around and complain about things, or you're working with somebody and, if they work for you, this really applies. You're either coaching it or allowing it. So figure out which one it is and adjust. But sitting around and complaining about it, that ain't it. We'll sit, you get with the staff, and, that meeting might be, well, we're doing this and we're doing this, and this one won't do this and this one's doing that. And I'm like, hey, hold on just a minute. It's real easy. We're either coaching it or allowing it. Which one is it? Because we can fix it, but if we're coaching it that way, we need to coach it different. If we're allowing it, then we've got to stop turning a blind eye to it and address it. So, I think those are two things that are a pretty good way to start. It's funny that he asked me that. I got a letter here from a newlywed couple. They just got married in February, and they're Longhorns. They sent me a picture of them standing with Bevo, and they kind of asked, they said they know it's a busy time, but they just wanted me to see if I could give them some insight into values to place on their marriage that we might have within our program. So it's really cool, y'all. That's a cool question. Again, it makes you feel good that people watch your team, see things in your team that maybe they want to see in their own children, or their own lives. And, that's the hard part in coaching, y'all. Like, I'm trying to get these kids ready for the real world. Yes, we got to win games. It's really important to play well and win. Women's basketball is really important at Texas. But the ultimate thing is getting them ready for the real world and realizing that, man, I believe the real world's a beautiful place most days. But every now and then this world can rear its ugly head. And on that day, when that happens, I believe our kids, my players, are able to navigate that day because of how we've been able to show resiliency, toughness, develop a competitive spirit within a practice and within a game of basketball. So appreciate that question. Thanks a lot for it. I hope that answer is a good one for you.
Well, I just want to say, on top of coaching basketball team, congrats on being the Chuck Woolery of Texas coaches.
Love connection.
We'll see you again in 2-2, Coach.
Take care of yourself, Coach. Thank you. Good luck. Women are hosting hopefully two games this week, Friday and Sunday, in the Moody Coliseum. 2:00, I believe, or 3:00 on Friday. Come out. Coach has led the team. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Coach. Undefeated at home the last 2 years. Let's keep it going now. No jinx. I know you only look at one at a time, but make Moody burn orange on Friday. Indeed.
No question. Need everybody out 3:00. And again, guys, thank y'all so much. Appreciate all you do for Texas and for our athletic department, and especially giving me an opportunity to come on with women's basketball. You guys are the best. I always look forward to our time together. And again, until the next time, praise the Lord and hook 'em horns. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Coach.
I want to go catching with Coach Schaefer. I don't want to go fishing. I want to go catching.
I have a great live stream show idea in the off season. Coach Vic Schaefer, our own Love Connection, Texas. We need Coach to host a show and remake Love Connection on the campus of the University of Texas.
He's shaking his head in the background. He likes it. I can still see him backstage.
He's
he
the man for that. He'd have a lot of fun with that one, I'm guessing.
I always love when Coach Schaefer comes on.
Thanks for setting that up, Blake. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. And once again, Friday, 3:00, there at Moody. Texas will take on the first four winner of Stephen F. Austin and Missouri State. And then, of course, the men tomorrow night at 8:15 against North Carolina State. So be sure to tune in for both of those. And once again, thanks to Coach Schaefer for joining us this morning. And Bobby, before we get to our last question or two, I need you one more time to tell everyone about our sponsor today, Longhorn Wealth Management.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to our sponsor, John Donovan, President, Longhorn Wealth Management. John's a proud Texas Exes Life member who served on the Dallas Texas Exes board for 15 years and now helps lead and support the Collin County Exes group, while also consistently serving his fellow Longhorns as a certified financial planner and as the founder of Longhorn Wealth Management. John and the Longhorn Wealth team were thrilled recently to be recognized by the Exes as a member of the Longhorn 100, a list of the 100 fastest growing companies in the world that are founded, owned, or led by UT alums. To celebrate this great recognition, John is offering all OTF fans a free private financial consultation to learn how John can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule a free consultation, call the Longhorn Wealth team, 972-707-4900, or schedule online, www.longhornwealth.net. Also, since March is Women's History Month, John wants to send a special congratulatory hook-em to all of the exceptional women athletes and coaches at UT, currently highlighted by the #1 seed in the women's basketball team and the undefeated, or not undefeated, but they've lost one. So women's softball team, hook 'em to the Lady Longhorns as well from John and the group at Longhorn Wealth Management.
Well, one thing that I failed to mention at the beginning of the show, we've had a lot of basketball talk today, obviously. But last year we did a bracket challenge. Everyone loved it. Everyone had bragging rights, or the chance, I guess, for bragging rights. We're doing that again this year. I just put the QR code up in the top left of the screen. You can scan that with your phone. It'll take you right to it. The password to join the bracket challenge, very simple, capital OTF. So OTF will be the password for that. Of course, we also have the details over at ontexasfootball.com. But
got it. Hey, challenge. They got to beat Jerry this year. Jerry,
right.
you're the bellwether. You beat Jerry, you get bragging rights.
That's hard to do in a bracket.
Are you good at the bracket, Jerry, or are you bad at it?
No, I don't. I'm average.
Average.
It's usually the people that pick, like, colors or mascots that do the best in that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, but I'm still trying to think of my name I'm going to use for the bracket. I was thinking about Rick Pitino's beer, because Rick Pitino was drinking a beer at a press conference the other day. So I was thinking about Rick Pitino's beer. Maybe that gives me good luck.
The Lantern says, does OTF have a women's basketball bracket that we can join? We, in honor of Coach Schaefer, I think we will do that. We've had a lot of people ask. I haven't set it up yet. I'm going to do that this morning after the show, so I'll have that as well. But like I said, the QR code in the top left will take you to the men's bracket challenge that we have. But we'll do a women's one this year as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, well, by the way, can I hit on something? We didn't talk recruiting. Yep. We're gonna myself, Jeff, Hank South, CJ. I think we're gonna make recruiting breakdown a today's show, because there was so much going on over the weekend in terms of visitors. But I want to mention Tyler Alexander, the defensive lineman from Wellington, Florida, Palm Beach County at Palm Beach Central High. I went to see him a few weeks ago. He made his first unofficial visit to Texas ever, him and his mom, a couple days late last week. It was his mom's birthday. After Tyler said the Texas staff did a great job celebrating his mom's birthday, but he had a great visit. His June official visit date's been set. He'll release that soon. I think early June would be my prediction for that, based on some other things. I think he's already got set, so it takes out one of the other big weekends for Texas. So I'm thinking it's got to be early June. Jeremiah Pepper, I mentioned, was on campus from LaGrange County, LaGrange, Georgia, Troup County. We also have we broke some news. I think it was yesterday. I can't remember. Days are running together. It may have been Saturday. Jabarius Guerrer, the defensive end edge linebacker from Viger High, who I went to see a few weeks ago, he's coming in for a 2-day unofficial visit, April 10th through 12th, along with his official visit to Texas, June 12th through 14th. He decommitted to Alabama a few hours after I put out that news. I had nothing to do with that. That was headed that way anyways. I said after that visit that I think he's wide open. He committed really early to Alabama, and things have changed in terms of Nick Saban not being there. I think that Jabarius Guerra, Texas A&M, a couple of others are very much involved there for the top 75 level prospect out of Viger High. They're in Pritchard, Alabama, just north of Mobile. Number of other unofficial visitors over the weekend: Lathan Wissington, Noah Roberts, the running back from Chandler, Arizona, Basha High. So there's been a number of unofficial visitors on campus in the last few days. I think Texas on spring break this week. There may be 2 or 3 guys that'll still come through if it's their spring break. I think we really look into that March 26th through 28th weekend. I think we're going to see a lot of guys on campus that weekend as well. So Texas recruiting. By the way, we had Matt Trissel on the show. We need to congratulate him. His son, Jackson Cook, was offered by Texas late in the week. He's going to set up his official visit later this week to Texas, which will be in June. He already has Arkansas June 12th through 14th. So it's not that weekend. It'll either be the first weekend or June 19th through 21st, which is probably where I would lean on that. So congrats to Matt Trissel's son, Texas Legacy, on being offered by the University of Texas. I just put up the official visitors list. We're up to 45. I think there's actually about 55 in actuality, but there's 45 who have either been announced or have gotten out. We broke a couple of those that have gotten out publicly. We've added 3 offensive linemen to that list. So Texas now has 8 offensive linemen locked in for official visits. And then I think Texas is in the mid-50s right now for official visits locked in. They'll just be released at a different time. Your Landis Callis Williams, your Tyler Alexander, DJ Jacobs, potentially, KJ Green, the top 20 player in the country, the edge out of Stevenson Stone Mountain, was on campus as well late in the week. So I think there's a number of big-time players who just haven't released all their official visit dates. And I do think Texas will end up in the mid-50s right now in official visitors.
Well, we will close with this. It was just announced TV time. Or, I'm sorry, the TV channel for the Texas women's game on Friday will be ESPN. They as soon as Vic went off the air, they put that out there. So ESPN Friday, March 20th, 3 o'clock versus MSU or SFA. Excuse me, can't get it out there. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Longhorn Wealth Management Group. We want to thank them, along with Square, Hollow, Changing Austin, and Von Lane for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Big shout out to Marcus Myers and Vic Schaefer for joining us. Appreciate both of them. And Nathaniel, his son Matthew, turned 2 yesterday. So happy birthday to your son, Nathaniel. Thanks for letting us know. Bobby, what's for folks later today?
Well, clearly we're going to have a recruiting breakdown in a minute. Jerry, Hank, and CJ going to get after that. We also have the live stream later tonight. Going to be looking at a couple of different positions breakdowns based on what we've heard behind the scenes right now. We talked a lot about Cam Coleman yesterday in one of our videos. We're going to take a deeper look at Rasheem Biles, young man out transferred to Texas out of Pitt. As well this week. So should be a lot coming up here at On Texas Football this week. To Jerry's point, coaches are on break this week a little bit, as are the players. I got to say this, one of our friends that watches us here at On Texas Football, he's on spring break as well, and he actually ran into Michael Huff yesterday in the little Caribbean nation of Anguilla. So, so they are out and about, all the Texas coaches getting some fun in the sun before they get back to work next week.
And by the way, I'm going to end this with I didn't want to put Coach Schaefer in a tough spot, but I almost at the end of that interview said, I know you enjoy beating Oklahoma. You want to really put a stake in him, go get Adrian Peterson's daughter at the university. She's a freshman that dunks the basketball. That one would probably really hurt Oklahoma.
Well, he's got an 8th grade son that apparently ran 10.6 meter too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Adrian Peterson's kids are going to be athletic. Good chance.
Well, we will be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. We hope you all have an outstanding day today. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Good morning.